Good afternoon, everybody. If I were to ask you that there is a feeling out there, and I feel it myself, that on that day that Tommy Robinson got arrested and pepper sprayed, some people, including myself, really wanted the public to turn on the police. Now I ask the question, if the police had credibility, integrity, and actually upheld the law to the letter, do you think that would be an agreeable point of view? I think even me in my slightly doolally, or even maybe hella doolally world would say that. And that's saying something, considering last night I just dreamt of John Wick and him handing a fucking shot of alcohol to me. Yeah, that kind of doolally. Anyway, do you think wishing the public to turn on the police, if they were doing everything to the letter, would be acceptable? I think most people would say no. However, as we all know, the police are not a single system, as it were. Think of it like these two cans of soup. And don't mind the fact that they come from Asda, or the fact that they cost 75 pence. Anyway, think of it like two cans of soup. And let's just say this is like the premium quality one, just for the sakes of argument. Obviously, at the top, we have illegal immigrants, terrorists, criminals, and the rich, in a nutshell, who all have their own set of different rules that they don't have to abide by. So, for example, the politicians, when they forced us all to lock down during COVID, and they all went out fucking partying and celebrating Christmas, well, we were told, you must stay in your homes, you must not have any social gatherings. Or what about the illegal immigrants? Or what about the Palestinians, who basically go out of their way to attack innocent members of the British public? And you would think if they were on the same tier of policing, they would be marched off. But of course they're not. Because here in batshit bonkers Britain, we protect the terrorists, the criminals, the illegal immigrants that have no legal or human right to be here. And we protect those who are guilty, rather than protect the innocent. How do they deal with policing left-wing protests? Kid gloves. And I wish I still had my mittens. Anyway, they treat them with kid gloves. So, in normal circumstances, if you see Just Stop Oil in the road, ironically, there has, a couple of days ago, been footage shown of the police actually doing their fucking job. I suspect it's being done, though, just for the cameras, by the way. But, my prejudice aside, isn't it a coincidence how they're doing that? But in every other case, they've treated it with kid gloves. Oh, we must be very, very, very careful with them. Whereas with the supposed far right, and people like Tommy Robinson, it's like, right, get him out of it. Oh, and I accidentally dropped it by mistake. But that's basically how they get treated. Like, instead of just, oh, we're treated like equals, it's more like, get it on there. Rather than placing it very gently down. Now, I ask the question again. Knowing that the police are not on your side, knowing we have a treacherous government, a lamestream media that refuses to report the truth and often breaks Section 2 of the 2006 Fraud Act, fraud by false representation, I ask the question again. Do you think it's an acceptable view that we should be turning on our police? I personally think it is acceptable now. And let me explain why. Right now, we need the police more than ever, ironically. But we need it on the back of the government's idiotic fucking mistakes of allowing these illegals to seek asylum here, of not taking these people to processing centres to see if they have got a criminal record, because of course these wankers have not got a passport, and surely we should be operating on the basic principle, as is almost every other fucking country's case. No passport, no entry. Am I thinking completely out of the box? Am I going batshit insane here, thinking this? Or am I thinking what the indigenous British public are thinking, and using that very, very rare thing that you will almost never see these days? Do you know what it is? It's called common sense. Maybe I am crazy, but I'll tell you one thing, I'm not stupid. Unlike our police, unlike our mainstream media, unlike our government. And when the police, when their main oath that they swear upon donning that uniform, basically involves three things: protect the inhabitants of the United Kingdom, keep the peace, and where peace is broken, restore order as quickly as possible. What happens when the police basically batter anybody who is supposedly far right, who is patriotic about their country, despises what their government are doing, opposes what their government is doing, and wants common sense to rule over anything else, rather than all this bullshit about multiculturalism, diversity and inclusion? Because as Sadiq Khan said, diversity is our greatest strength, isn't it? No, it's not. It is far from our greatest strength. Now, do not get me wrong. I am all for, I've said it many, many times, and I'll say it here again for clarity, I have nothing against other people, as long as they are willing to integrate with society. So, when you have, oh God damn it, I'm grabbing these cans again. Anyway, when you have a society that is already pre-built, and then you have people coming in to this country. If I was, for example, going out to fucking Spain or Germany or whatever, I would be expected to find a place of work and integrate with society. Is that too far-fetched? Stop me if this is all a little too crazy for people. So, would it stand to reason that if I see illegals coming over to our country, well, first and foremost, they have no legal human right to be here because they're breaking every law available as far as getting to this country is concerned, and then trying to use human rights to protect themselves, when, as far as I see it, all human rights should be made forfeit the moment they break that law, because they consider the human rights of other people. But I digress. Even if we ignore all that, and let's say they are legally here, just for the sakes of argument, is it too unreasonable to ask them to want to prove to us that they want to work here, not just sponge off of us, and they genuinely want to integrate and become part of our great society? Am I going mad? Answers on a postcard, please, to whatthefuckisgoingon.com. What happens when the police treat them with kid gloves and treats its own fucking citizens like second-class citizens? It's deliciously ironic when you think about it. And I'm not talking about the soup. Even for 75p. Anyway, I'm not talking about the soup here as far as deliciously ironic. Because what is the one weapon that the left and the media like to use against us patriots or supposed far right? That's right, the racist card. They love playing that. They will play that. They will slam that shit down like it's one of those fucking wild card Uno +4 cards. Just bam! Place that bitch on the table and hope for the best. But we're holding another 3 of those. Good luck with that. And here's the thing. We never brought up the aspect of race. That was them that did that. And what I see more often than not is that in spite of this, the police still choose, in some cases, if there's an Albanian criminal, or if there is a Black Lives Matters Marxist, they will still side with them and treat them with kid gloves. While any of us, if we get slightly excited, if we even get remotely overexcited, we get this. And don't worry, I'll probably get a section order for that because I'm making too much noise. Anyway, the point is, we get the fucking shit battered out of us by our police. Just for being overexcited. And I ask you, do you think that's acceptable? Do you think that's acceptable that they get treated with kid gloves when they're committing criminal acts, while we're just showing our emotion, we get battered? And anybody who says that's perfectly fine and normal and acceptable, I would recommend going to their GP and get themselves checked out from the neck up. Because any sane person will tell you that is blatant two-tier policing. That is blatant first-class and second-class citizens right here. And ironically, we, as the British citizens, are the fucking second-class citizens. And that shit scares me. Because you know what's going to happen later down the line? If we ever move into a fucking social credit system, perish the thought, and become like Taiwan as a country, I mean China. If we end up becoming like China, God fucking help us all. Because they will have our faces plastered on my fucking CCTVs and what have you, and in their databases. And there'll be no escape. And then it'll be like, oh, he's a far-right person. Send a squaddy after them. Go after them now. Just for existing. So it stands to reason why I had this thought of, I wish the public turned on the police. And I still do. I wish our British public would turn on the police. I really do. And that alone scares me. Just for the simple fact that when you're literally saying that you want your people to turn on the police, the very people who are supposed to uphold the pillars of our community and uphold order and peace, that's never a good sign. That is a genuinely scary thing. Because you know what's going to happen later down the line? I'll have to borrow this. Bear with me. So when all of a sudden there's maybe a cop down here somewhere that's maybe got a fugitive on the floor who's fighting back, might even overpower the cop, and we, the British citizens, come in, we're just going to sit here with our phones. We're just going to watch. Hell, Some of the more extreme people might even help the fucking criminal. Not that I'd advocate for it, let me be clear. But some people will hold the police in such high contempt that they will just flat out refuse to help them. I mentioned this in a past video. I mentioned to the police that if you keep treating us like this, we're just not going to help you. Simple as that. And I'm not saying that out of being malicious. I'm saying that as in, you need to wise up. I'm saying it as in, the police need to take a dose of man-up pill. Forget the fact it's from Asda as well. Anyway, they need to reach in here, grab a man-up pill, and take it. And realise what the fuck they're doing. Because I guarantee you, if we continue down this path, 3 to 6 months down the line, we're just not going to help the police, full stop. And regarding Tommy Robinson, I've already made the point clear, he already got arrested, pepper sprayed, point blank range, while handcuffed, and I put a little short out of that, basically stating to the officer, for the attention of that officer, though I highly doubt he'll look at it, that he's basically doing misconduct with it. Because it even says, even though it's the Northern Ireland Guide, it stands to reason why that kind of shit would also be applied here in the UK. The 4 points. 1. The irritant spray must not be used in a distance less than 1 metre. 2. It mustn't be used in an enclosed space like a car. That point's irrelevant because obviously they weren't in a car. 3 is that they mustn't use it while a person is handcuffed or restrained and basically not able to fight back. And number 4, in the lesbian Nana's case, I said it because she did it in this kind of way herself, you mustn't use it as a crowd dispersal tactic because of the collateral damage, as it were. You could hit innocent civilians or other officers with it. I wonder if he has watched the video. Now I'm morbidly curious. But the bottom line is, that is gross misconduct. And that officer should at least be suspended from the force, if not sacked. And as I said, as far as the whole event is concerned, I honest to God wish the police got turned on by the public. And not the, you know what I mean. But my point is, the public should have made a statement when they did that to Tommy Robinson. And they can sit there and saying, oh, he resisted. You try get pepper spray in the face and see if you don't struggle. I'll tell you one thing, I'd be screaming like a little bitch. I'm not afraid to admit that. Because that's the thing, I can admit my flaws and my wrongdoings. I can admit when I would be the weaker man. I would cry like a little bitch if that thing was sprayed in my eyes at that range, point blank. I would be fucking writhing in pain, I suspect. Screaming. Because I'm not half the man Tommy Robinson is. Yeah, I'll say it again. I am not half the man that Tommy Robinson is. Now, some people might say, don't put yourself down for it. This isn't a matter of me putting myself down. This is me being realistic. Like, Tommy Robinson's done it all. He's been in prison. He's exposed the establishment. He's exposed mainstream media. He's exposed the police. He's exposed councils. Have I done that? I couldn't even expose my local rag, let alone the fucking mainstream media. Or at least I haven't done so yet, I should say. Maybe I should be a little more optimistic. But that's beside the point. The point is, the police have repeatedly let us down. Repeatedly. In Dublin as well. when the illegal that went around stabbing children got a knife, started stabbing children. Do you know what I would call him? Scum. And at that point, as soon as I found out he had stabbed children, I would have fucking ordered a shoot to kill notion on that fucker. Right there and then. Because I would not want one more child getting hurt by that cunt. But of course, what do the police do? They say he's a person of interest. Yeah, a real person fucking interest. The only interest I have in that prick is him getting the shit kicked out of him. God, that felt good. Nice release of nitrogen. Anyway, I would have wanted him dead on the spot for what he did. Like, as far as I see it, if you go and stab a child... Well, no, let me take it back a bit. If you stab an adult, that's one thing. But the moment you fucking bring children, the most defenseless people in the world, into this equation, you do not even get one iota of rights, in my humble opinion. You deserve the bullet or a necktie, at bare minimum. But in that case, if I was the fucking lead of that police, I would say, shoot to kill the prick. I would say, shoot to kill. Because that man is not worthy of breathing our oxygen. And I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. But what do the police do? Of course, they arrest him. He could still preach his rights. And I suspect what will end up happening is because it was only attempted murder, he'll probably only get, like, I don't know, 8-10 years in prison, something like that. When there was an online harms bill that they tried to push where you could have been sentenced for up to 18 years in prison for simply speaking out against the government. How do you think that's going to go? I know I'm detracting a bit from the police, but my point is, they're all in it together. All of them. So it begs the question, what are we going to do about it? Now, far be it from me to advocate people committing crime. Far be it from me to do that. I'm not a big fan of violence. I don't want it to go down to violence. But they're not giving us a lot of choices anymore. Like, it's like using the tin cans again. Like, oh, I've got oxtail soup. Oh, I've got, sausages. Oh, I've got, where's the fucking tomato sauce? Soup even. Right here. And, oh look, we've got some old fucking spaghetti hoops here. But it's like, what they're doing is one by one, they're taking away our choices. I mean, literally. Taking away our choices. And every time they shut down a peaceful avenue, every time they spurn us and treat us with contempt, their own fucking citizens, who they should be upholding the name and the will of the British people and protecting the people with their lives if necessary, if it comes down to it, though I would hope in most cases it doesn't. What do our police do? They don't protect the British public. They protect the criminals, the tax evaders, the paedophiles, the grooming gangs, the illegal immigrants, the Palestinians. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think it's fundamentally wrong that women and children on either side are getting killed. Don't worry, I haven't cut myself. I'm not that stupid. Anyway, the point is, when you have a conflict, I pray for both sides innocent, because I know both sides are going to have that. In war, there's going to be innocents that are done in as collateral damage, and that's fucking wrong. On both sides. Both Israel's side and the Palestinian side. I'm not going to be sitting here and saying, yes, it's okay for Israel to kill women and children. No, I'm not going to do that. I don't think any normal person would do that. But what I am against is innocent people being persecuted. And what it comes down to is our police are persecuting us. Our government is persecuting us. The mainstream media are persecuting us. So what happens when we are repeatedly spurned, when we are repeatedly treated like garbage, to coin an American term? We are treated like dirt. They think they can just walk all over us. Prove them wrong. Take away their power. If the police ask for your help, don't bother. Don't help them. Do not help them. Yes, I'm willing to say that. Don't help the police. Do not help them. Until they prove they are worthy of our help. Because right now, they are not. There be no equivocations about that. They have clearly shown their absolute contempt for us and their sympathy for terrorists, illegal immigrants, tax evaders, paedophiles, you name it. Why should we help them? And I know there's going to be a few people that come out and say, oh, don't tar all the police with the same brush. Well, until I've seen some decent police, I will. Oh, if there are decent police, please, bring them to my fucking place. I'll make a cup of tea and everything, and I will have it all ready, and I will explain to them why I am like this, that I am vehemently against the police right now. Bring them to me, by all accounts. And I will even make them the fucking tea. If there are 12 coppers that come at my door, I'll make fucking tea for all of them, even though I've only got like 4 mugs. But until such time as I see decent police that aren't thugs in uniform, because that's what they are, until such time I see that, I will keep labelling them with the same brush. And it's ironic, it's usually something I say about the left-wing media and the left wing in general. Name tags and all that. But I think I can speak for a lot of the British public when I say the police are Gestapo, they're Stasi, they're thugs in uniform, they're the government's enforcers. And they're fascists as well. Because Tommy Robinson, whether you like him or not, he is a journalist. And he has every right to interview people, freedom of the press, to be able to interview people, ask them questions, march along with them, and then go about his business. He made his intentions clear of what he wanted to do at this march. He said he wants to interview people, he wants to march with them, being a pro-Israeli person, and then he will leave when all is said and done. But the organisers didn't want him there. So the police acted basically as their enforcers. But of course the mainstream media won't tell you this. Because, say it with me folks, it doesn't suit the narrative. So of course the police did their duty as the Stasi, the enforcers of corruption. And they arrested him, pepper sprayed him point blank, bundled him into the back of a van. And while he was treated well by a couple of Muslim policemen in there, yeah, don't think I don't give credit to Muslims. And don't think he doesn't give credit to Muslims. Here are all these people who say Tommy Robinson is a racist. But he's already made clear, if anybody has paid attention to him for as long as I have, or even longer back than that, before when I listened to him, probably back in the early 2000s or the 2010s, you would know that Tommy Robinson has friends of all different ethnicities and colours. Black, white, doesn't matter. Muslim, don't care, he has them. And he's not against all Muslims. He is against the extremist ideology of Islam. Where do you think the Islamophobia word came from? That was a made-up word. There is no such thing as an irrational fear of Islam. That was something the governments and the snowflakes wanted to put in to protect the fifis of the extremist of their kind. The extremist Islamists. Again, mainstream media will not tell you that. But what's sad is that the police will protect these extremists, the Islamic extremists. Hell, they did it back in the day when they called our soldiers butchers of Basra and they were burning poppies. They protected the Islamists, while Tommy was arrested trying to stop them desecrating our war dead. But again, mainstream media won't tell you that. They will try to say Tommy Robinson's far right. Or sorry, far right. For what? For being patriotic? For not wanting extremists to desecrate the dead? To basically spit at our fallen soldiers of 2 world wars? Do you think that's okay? I don't. I think I've made quite clear why I am so vehemently against the police. And as John F. Kennedy said, when you make peaceful resolution impossible, you make violent revolution inevitable. And the police will not be able to stop the amount we have. 1% control the world. 4% are global sellout puppets. 90% of the world are fast asleep. 5% of the world know what's going on and are trying to wake up the 90%. And the 4% are trying to stop the 5% from waking up the 90%. Last time I checked, and I know my maths can be a bit iffy at times, I know I sometimes add 1 and 1 together to make 5, but I'm pretty sure 4 is a smaller number than 5. At least last time I checked. Unless I'm living off on Kooky Land again, in which case you better give me a knock to the head and bring me back down to earth. But I'm pretty sure that 5 is a greater number than 4. And what we're seeing is this is going internationally. The government wanted to silence Tommy because he was going to expose the failings of the government. I'm going to be linking in the description below the British police state thingy that he did back in York. Watch it all. But basically, they tried to stop him and the police when he said, I'm still going to Oxford University to talk to them, which he did end up talking to them. The police gave him conditions. If you speak negatively about the police, if you speak negatively about the Quran, if you speak negatively about Muslims, if you speak about Islam, you're going back to jail. They tried to gag him. Again. They tried to put a gagging order on him. Sorry. They tried to put a gagging order on him, basically. So he talked about his life. And then, when he came to York, he then talked about this shit. So, they failed. They could have just settled with Tommy Robinson speaking out to a couple of universities. Now, that video of the British police state and the Oxford speech, it's all gone worldwide. The whole world is watching. And we're centre stage. The police are coming in left of stage as the main antagonists. We, the British public, are coming in as the main protagonists. With Tommy Robinson caught in the middle. The government controls the police as well, so it would stand to reason they're the next main antagonist. What do you think happens when the people finally kick off? And I'm not talking about football. What do you think is going to happen when the British people have finally had enough and like an eggshell, it just cracks? There will be full-blown revolution. And the police won't be able to handle it. They will try to bring in the riot squads to hold us back, but we will keep charging. We will keep attacking. We will overthrow the government. Oh, we'll just bring in the army. Like I said before, the army even stated a couple of years back when Boris Johnson was in power that if there was a coup to be attempted, they'd be on the side of the British people. And considering how useless our government has been, I think it stands to reason they'd probably still feel the same way. So I'll say it again. Until the police prove they are worthy of our help, don't help them. Do not help them for anything. Not even picking up something they've dropped on the floor. Let them fend for themselves. And we'll see how long it lasts. We'll see how long the British police can hold their own. And when they realise why we're doing this, they'll only have themselves to blame, because they repeatedly abused us. Abuse of power, abuse of its citizens, abuse of an innocent man. And the government's attempt to bankrupt him through lawfare. The whole spiel with Jamal, him getting £150,000 through a fundraiser, while a taxi driver who saved hundreds of people's lives from a terrorist who was in his taxi only gets less than a fifth of that. I think he got about £28,000 if I recall correctly, give or take a couple. But it was about a fifth of what Jamal got. And he was in way more danger than what that Syrian refugee was. Way more danger. Oh, they said Syrian refugee was being waterboarded. They don't know the definition of waterboarding. Waterboarding, if I could just grab one of those, is basically, and I'm going to have to hope the crisis doesn't break now. So if I just soak this a little bit. So waterboarding, basically, would involve something like this. So person's trying to breathe, this would be on their face, it would be a heavy cloth rather than this single ply kitchen roll. And yes, I know I look like a twat. But you see what's happening right now? This is waterboarding. Oh God, and it feels fucking awful. I mean, obviously this is low level compared to the shit they use in Guantanamo Bay. Oh God. It's all gotten up my nose and everything. Fuck me. Anyway, the point is, they tried to compare that which I've just shown to this. Wasn't even put on him for more than a second. They tried to compare that to waterboarding. You could see how I was struggling to breathe in that shit. Well, not that much, because obviously it was only a single ply cloth. But you could see what it was doing. Basically. And let me tell you something, it's not pleasant. And if it wasn't pleasant for me, bearing in mind I wasn't even remotely getting waterboarded though, I was just simulating what it is. With a fucking single ply cloth that I'm now using to clean my glasses. Much better, I can see now. Anyway, if you can imagine what that's happening to me, what do you think is going to happen to people who are getting like one of these put over their mouths and their noses, and they can't breathe? Point in case. But again, mainstream media don't want to tell you that. They are willing to commit fraud by false representation. And our police did nothing to protect Bailey when he was forced to flee the country because groups of extremist Islamic scumbags decided to throw a brick through their window and started coming up to their house in protest. We want the boy who did this, basically so they can kill him. police then? So next time somebody tries to say to me, don't tar the police with the same brush, remind yourselves what has happened to the likes of Bailey, to the likes of Tommy Robinson, to the likes of Danny Tomo, to the likes of people like Maya Tuzi. Remind yourselves, this is how they treat us. And remember, respect is a two-way street. We will respect these people, the people coming in, when they show respect for us, not the other way round. We have done more than any other country to house these illegals. And that's what they do with us. They flush our respect like they were flushing the fucking toilet. So likewise, for the police, we will show you more respect when you show us more respect. We are the ones that power this country. Don't you ever forget that. Just as much as we put the Conservatives in name only in power, we can vote them out again. Just as quickly. And you, the British police, need to understand, without us, you would be out of business. You would be unable to continue. And if we turn on you, you will have all hell break loose. And remember, things can go up just like that. And like I said, when you make peaceful resolution impossible, you make violent revolution inevitable. When tyranny becomes law, resistance becomes duty. And we are the resistance. And we will not hesitate to fight back. We've had enough of your treachery. We've had enough of your deceit. We have had enough of your two-tier Gestapo policing. So either you start doing your fucking jobs as your own oath commands, or we, the British people, will come along and take you away and lock you away and throw away the key, as well as drain out the swamp that plagues this government, plagues our media, and plagues this country. We will take out the trash and do away with it once and for all. My name's Debeamer, also known as Abathorex, and I am, as always, very bad news for our lamestream media, our crooked establishment, and most importantly, our two-tier fascistic police, who are more interested in the feelings of snowflakes and the feelings of terrorists and illegal immigrants than they are their own fucking citizens. And I'll say it one last time. Until the police show you the respect that you rightfully deserve, and of course that applies to me as well, do not help them. Let them fend for themselves. Show them the consequences of their actions. Teach them a lesson. And when they come out and say, oh, nobody's helping us, nobody is helping us, we need the public's help, remind them of why we're doing this. Remind them that they need us. We don't need them. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. And most importantly, fuck the government, and especially fuck the police.